I'm Terene Chatfield, and welcome to the BBB Insider. Today's show is all about companies that go around and clean up storm and wind damages. Our guests today represent tree services and roofing industry. From Haley's Tree Service, please welcome Tracy Haley.
Hi.
And from Dayton Roof and Remodeling, please welcome Bill Landefeld.
Thank you.
And our host today is your BBB President and CEO, John North.
Well, thank you, Terene. Thank you to our guests for being here. Terene and I, on our regular full-time jobs, we work at Your Better Business Bureau. This is just a side gig that we get to do because of the gracious support from DATV and its crew that's here and also back in the sound room. So we certainly appreciate their support and their continued efforts to keep us coming back month after month. For those of you that have seen the show before or know about Your Better Business Bureau, we are the place that works to establish a fair and ethical marketplace so that consumers and businesses can interact with trust. We help people choose trustworthy businesses like those accredited businesses that we have here today, and we try and help them avoid the scammers or those businesses out there that are doing less than a legitimate service. It's important that businesses operate with ethics and integrity in the marketplace, our marketplace, and also marketplace all across North America. Your Better Business Bureau is an organization that is international. We serve all of North America from the States all the way through Canada. And so anywhere, if there's a company anywhere in the United States or in Canada that you're looking at interacting with, doing business with, you can check that out at bbb.org and you can find a wealth of information. Okay? Well, we've been very busy, and we think we've been very busy, but our guests today and their companies have been so much more busy than even we've been trying to clean up from some of the storm damage that we've had over the last several months. And it seems like it's been kind of endless here lately. Our first guest is Tracy Haley, and she represents one of our favorite industries, the tree service industry. And recently we put out a report on the F-rated tree companies here in our marketplace. And thankfully, Haley's Tree Service has an A+ rating and does a great job for consumers, and we appreciate the job that you do. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Haley's Tree Company?
Well, my main goal when I started was to come out here and really build a really good, honest company, one that people can trust, of course. I worked for other tree services in the past, and I wasn't too happy about, how they handled their consumers, and I just knew I could come out and do a much better job and legit and be real honest at it and do good work. And that's pretty much my main goal, is to make every customer happy.
All right, that's a great goal to strive for. Tell us specifically about some of the services your tree service company provides.
Okay, pretty much anything that has to do with trees. The removals, of course, trimming, shaping, we feed them. Sometimes you might come across a tree that's split in a certain area that might need a cabling because this person actually wants to save the tree. So, that's also an option to do cabling, and just about anything that has to do with tree work. We can give a lot of good advice on we've actually trained trees before to grow in a certain direction that we want them to grow.
Like the tree whisperer. She's like the tree whisperer.
She is.
Like, for instance, if it's going too close to the home, we may throw the balance of the tree off over, a couple years to get it to grow the opposite way. So pretty much just anything that has to do with trees, anything, whether it's bugs, invading them, or they're just losing limbs, or whatever the case may be. But you have to know the characteristic of each individual tree, because each one's different. They all, require different techniques to take care of them. So you really have to know the tree and what their characteristics are. Exactly.
Wow.
Well, with recent storms that have passed through our area over the last several months, and actually, it seems like last several years, our weather has been changing, and we've certainly seen our share of damage here in this area, and trees are a big part of that, being blown down, and I bet it's kept you and your crew pretty busy.
Actually too busy. I actually feel kind of bad because I can't get to people as quickly as I'd like to. I run 4 crews from Cincinnati all the way through Columbus, and it's just it's so overwhelming that I can't even get to them all. So yeah, it's really picked up over the last couple of years with the storms, and these trees are they're just coming down left and right when these big windstorms come through. I really noticed the weather's getting a little crazy because of that, because our business is so busy that we can't keep up with some of our call-ins. So it's very overwhelming sometimes, but we try to get to them as fast as we can.
Okay.
But before, a couple years ago when the weather wasn't as crazy, we was, always kept up. Now it's just kind of hard to keep up. So yeah, it's gotten a lot worse.
Okay. Well, with storms and the recent storms, or any potential storms out there in the area, any effects of any hurricanes that may come through here like Ike a couple of years ago, what advice do you have for people in an emergency situation when a tree goes down?
One thing that I do say is if your space in your home is close to that side of that tree, if you have a bad area in the tree, you notice any bark missing off the tree, so to speak, or you notice a lot of dead more than usual, or you ever notice mushrooms, for instance, growing around the base of your tree, that's an indication of root rot. You just want to be, safe, of course, and even in the stronger winds, it could be a very healthy tree that comes down. So therefore, if you're going through a very strong storm like that, I just suggest maybe being on the opposite side of the home, just for your safety. Just keep an eye on the trees, keep them nice and cleaned up, dead wooded, thinned. If you notice something looks wrong, call someone, get some help with it. That way it can stay healthy and strong when the storms do come through.
Okay. Well, a favorite topic of ours at the Better Business Bureau are scams, and trying to keep people away from scammy organizations or organizations that are doing less than legitimate business in your industry. And unfortunately, there are a lot of them in your industry.
Yes.
What are some things that people need to watch out for in your industry when they're looking into a tree service company?
First of all, if someone comes knocking on your door and they notice something's wrong with one of your trees, it very well could be the case. But however, if they don't walk up with a book, if they're, oh, my papers are in the truck, or, I have to run back and get them, it's probably a no-go. When someone walks up to your door with the, accurate paperwork, that's pretty legitimate. Now, sometimes they'll say, hey, yeah, this is my insurance guy, give them a call. Don't ever do that. Go to your phone book or your 411, get the name of the company that's the insured. Always go through that. Don't ever take a phone number that they may give you, because in some cases it could be a friend or family member that's actually pretending to be an insurance guy. Major thing you want to watch out for is workman's comp. Obviously, everybody knows, and a lot of people don't realize that, you have to be extremely careful, especially in this industry, because this is one of the probably most scandalous services that is out here right now. And we have a lot of them. They're overwhelming with the tree companies in Springfield alone, and the city forester Sandy there in Springfield, she's going through a real hard time trying to get them all underway and taken care of, but she can't never seem to get anywhere. So, but just mainly make sure they show you paperwork. If they're instantly showing you paperwork, that's a good thing. If they're not trying to show you paperwork right off the bat, if they're trying to say, let me go back and get it, that's probably a very bad thing. But always check their numbers. Don't ever just go with a number they show you. Always check their paperwork thoroughly, very thoroughly. Make sure it's actually a company, that you're calling, and not just a phone number they've given you. Scare tactics. A lot of people, this tree's going to fall on your home, very soon. So basically just the scare tactics, and make sure they come up with paperwork right off the bat. Don't ever give them a chance to say, I got to go get it. Because if they don't have it with them, they don't have it. So,
speaking of tree services and Springfield, Ohio, one of the things that always amazes me with the list that we send out, nearly 80% of the companies on our F-rated list are in Springfield or Clark County, most of them within Springfield proper. What's going on in Springfield with tree service companies and F ratings?
Well, I honestly, I believe that the drugs are probably taking over more than anything. A lot of people are just out here to do it to make a buck today, not looking into their future. Springfield, their economy is really down right now. There's no jobs, so people are just throwing something in a pickup truck, and here, we're going to go do this or that. So people just making up things to do to get by, because there's no jobs. A lot of people are, getting into the bad ways of drugs, and, obviously anybody that's dealing with drugs isn't going to be a very good person when the business industry. So, and it's a smaller town, so, and it's really a lot of tree companies. I think everybody thought just because, all you needed was a couple chainsaws and a pickup truck that anybody and everybody could go start a tree company, and they don't worry about the paperwork. They just go out and make a buck for today and not for the future. They're not looking into the future at all.
Yeah. So. Well, your company certainly distinguishes itself from other companies that provide work in this area, and one of the ways that you do that is by being BBB accredited. Tell us what BBB accreditation means to you and your company.
It means quite a lot. If it wasn't for the accreditation that I have, I wouldn't have got probably 60% of the jobs that I have done. A lot of times, when we're going to, we notice a tree in a yard that looks, to be dangerous or anything, needs work, whatever, they don't really want to give us the time of day, because they're so used to tree companies, So, as soon as they go in the house and they check me out with the Better Business Bureau, oh yeah, go ahead and do the job. So if it wasn't for being, in good with the Better Business Bureau, I don't think I'd get as much work. I just wish that more consumers would really start looking into these non-legit companies and really dig deeper and not hire some of these people because, they're not getting their jobs done right. They're not getting done what they were promised and things like that. So consumers really need to dig a little deeper into checking them out.
Yeah. One of the things that we warn people about, because we hear a lot about it, is they want the tree completely gone down to the stump removal. Mm-hmm. And some tree service companies have some problems with that. Do you have any insight on that?
A lot of the reason is they don't have a stump grinder. They expect they'll rent one, or they don't leave enough money on the job for the stump, or they try to collect for the stump, then they have no interest in going and doing it because they've already been paid. Me, however, I go out Fridays and Saturdays and we do stumps, and then I also have a friend of mine that helps me with that as well when I get too far behind, because stumps is usually the biggest part of a problem with a tree job is not getting the stumps done in a accurate time. So just basically most people try to collect for their stumps up front and include it in the tree job itself instead of putting a separate price, and then they just have no interest in going back to do it. But they just don't either have a stump grinder or they just don't have an interest in making things right with those people.
So you need to get everything in writing?
Oh yes.
In the contract,
yes.
Make sure that you know what you're in for and the expectation of the company.
Yes. And I also have a thing at the very bottom that you don't sign until you're completely happy, and I tell all my customers there's not a penny due until you have a smile on your face. When I see a smile on your face, that's when you can make payments.
There you go.
So yeah, and it really disturbs me when my customers aren't happy. If something, even the slightest, littlest, tiniest thing that they're not happy about, I feel really bad about that, and it's my goal to do what I have to do to make them happy when we're done. So.
Okay. Well, sometimes.